Hello, YouTube users and COM250 class. Whether you're expecting a child or nowhere near even thinking about having children, it's good to be educated on the subject of vaccines, so when the time is right, you can decide whether you want to vaccinate your children or not. Let me tell you about Landon Carter Duke. He was just a little baby, and on July 15, 2010, his parents were worried about him spitting up a lot, so they took him to the doctor. The doctor didn't really notice anything out of the unusual, but they just switched his formula and said he might spit up a little more than he was. But a few days later, he was running a fever of 100.3, so his mom took him back to the doctor. The nurses were immediately alarmed at how fast he was breathing, so they admitted him and did some tests. At first, the pertussis, or whooping cough, didn't come back as positive, but the second test they did come back as positive, so they admitted him to the hospital. They put an IV in his foot, and they started doing breathing treatments. A few days later, he was doing better, so they said he might be able to go home that Sunday if he was continuing to do better. Unfortunately, things went downhill, and that was the last time his parents saw him awake. So they did a treatment to support his heart and breathing because he couldn't do it himself. And unfortunately, his body just couldn't handle the dialysis that it was going under. So the doctor told his parents to come in and tell him their last goodbyes. And even though they've gone through this tragedy, his parents wanted to educate other parents about why they should vaccinate their children to prevent these life-threatening illnesses. Obviously, after hearing this story, you know that you should vaccinate your children because it is pertinent to their health. The reasons are: 1, vaccines prevent these life-threatening illnesses. 2, the reason that they started these vaccines was to stop outbreaks. But since parents have not been vaccinating their children, there are more outbreaks. And 3, it's cheaper to prevent these illnesses than to treat them. So come on, let's explore why vaccines prevent your child from getting unwanted illnesses. Come on.
Vaccines protect children, like the ones above, from unwanted illnesses. The vaccine stimulates the body's immune system to recognize the agent as foreign, destroy it, and remember it, so that the immune system can more easily recognize and destroy any of these microorganisms that it later encounters. Did you know, before there were immunizations for polio, measles, Hib, and pertussis, there are between 13,000 and 20,000 cases of polio, resulting in paralyzation a year, 3 to 4 million cases of measles annually, 20,000 cases of Hib annually, and 9,000 pertussis-related deaths a year.
The work that these vaccines did to stop outbreaks is being reversed by unvaccinated children.
In areas or communities where there are high numbers of intentionally unvaccinated children, this is where you see more measles outbreaks. One stemmed from a San Diego boy who was traveling in Europe and caught the bug. Dr. Ann Shushat, director at the National Center for Immunizations and Respiratory Diseases at the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, says we are beginning to see more outbreaks that look different, concentrated among intentionally unvaccinated people. I hope they are not the beginning of a worse trend. Los Angeles Times also says, as more parents forego getting the measles vaccination for their children, the more Californians contract this highly contagious disease, which is at a 10-year high. Already in 2011, there have been 28 reported cases. This is the highest incidence since 2001, when 40 Californians contracted the highly contagious disease. There were 9 cases in all of 2009 and 27 cases in 2010.
When children are not vaccinated, it becomes more expensive to treat the disease than it would have been to prevent the disease in the first place.
The National Center of Allergy and Infectious Disease states that it's much cheaper to prevent a disease than to treat it. In a 2005 study on the economic impact of routine childhood immunizations, researchers estimated that you save $5 in direct costs for every vaccination and $11 in additional costs to society. Vaccines protect not only you, but everyone else around you. Say there's a community where everybody's vaccinated. They're less likely to get the disease and to spread it. This is called herd immunity. But if there is a community full of people who are unvaccinated, then the disease is going to spread. Like in 1989, when there were a high number of unvaccinated people, there were 55,000 cases of measles and 136 measles-associated deaths.
And why do you think it's important for parents to vaccinate their children?
Okay. Well, the issue with vaccines is that when you take a vaccine, we're not giving you a medicine that changes your physiology in some way. A vaccine is a way to teach your immune system how to recognize an illness before it gets it. And that comes from the fact that the immune system works on 2 planes. you have one level, which is what they call the humoral response, which is you poke your finger and something gets in your body, and the body just sort of rushes there with chemicals and says, okay, we got to do something about it. But the way the immune targets its response is by recognizing what you have infected you. Now, the way bacteria and viruses are able to attack the human body is because it counts on the fact that your body won't recognize it before it's able to set up an infection. And that's how these diseases are spread and survive, is they get into the human body, they can't, they set up an infection, you begin to spread it to other people, and then your immune system finally comes along and starts to stop it, and that's what the symptoms come from. However, if you wait till you've been infected and you begin to spread to other people, it's too late to do something about it, and now you have to hope that everything's going to be okay. That's where diseases become a problem. Now, in infants, these diseases are particularly dangerous. The immune system is very mature. It doesn't have a very strong response. It's not very focused in its response. And so diseases can come along, cause a child an illness or an infant an illness that can be devastating. HIB, the meningitis, and pneumococcal meningitis, and these things are plagued kids for thousands of years, since the beginning of time, really. And the problem is that they can't mount enough of a response in most cases, and it's deadly. And the other reason to vaccinate your kids is because as they get older, the sooner they become, their immune system recognizes an illness, they're not going to spread that illness to other people. So not only are you protecting your own children from illness, but you're protecting other kids as well.
Argument that people present for not vaccinating their children.
Fortunately, most people have accepted that vaccines are a good idea, and they've accepted the safety of the vaccines. But we still see, and thanks to Hollywood and some of the more prominent stars, spreading myths about vaccines, that people are fearful of them. And probably the biggest one that seems to be in the last 10 years is the issue of MMR and autism. And that was really pushed by Dr. Wakefield back in 1997 in an article in The Lancet, which has been since retracted, proven to be fraudulent, and proven not to be true. And the idea that MMR could be causing autism. They've done 40 studies, every one of them confirming that MMR does not cause it. They've confirmed that thimerosal doesn't cause autism, that vaccines themselves don't cause autism. They've really confirmed these problems. Yet people still carry this belief, and it's an uncertainty and a what-if kind of scenario for some people.
So again, parents and future parents, children should be vaccinated. It is pertinent to their health. It prevents unwanted illnesses. It stops these outbreaks that are now happening. And it is cheaper to prevent a disease than to treat it.
There are pros and cons for every decision that you have to make in life. But after researching vaccinations, it's obvious that there are more pros than cons when trying to decide to vaccinate your child or not. I would do anything to protect my child, and vaccinating him is just another way that I do that.